is now 9 a.m. The date is May the 4th, 2021. We will call to order the meeting for the Statesboro City Council. We will have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilmember Paulette Shavers.
Let us bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you have done for us. And God, we ask one thing, and that is that you would continue to give us the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding on how to govern this city, Lord. And let us all abide here in love. In your name, Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move down to agenda item 3, which is recognition and public presentations. The first presentation that we have is a proclamation to our International Firefighters Day. I would like to read the proclamation at this time. The proclamation reads as follows. A proclamation by the Mayor and City of Statesboro, Georgia, for International Firefighters Day proclamation, May the 4th, 2021. Whereas International Firefighters Day was established in 1999 to remember those firefighters worldwide lost in the line of duty, protecting the safety of us all, and whereas the role of a firefighter in today's society, be it urban, rural, natural environment, volunteer, career, industrial, defense force, aviation, motorsports, or other, it is one of the dedications, commitment, and sacrifice, no matter what country they reside and work in. And whereas International Firefighters Day recognizes those firefighters who have served their communities for most of their lives and those who have served for just a few short years, they set themselves apart as model citizens, setting a fine example in their communities with their willingness and dedication. And whereas hailing from all walks of life, they are our mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, grandparents, neighbors, and friends. They protect us without wanting of recognition or reward. In our time of need, they are there with courage, compassion, and loyalty. They are the essence of the true meaning of community. Therefore, I, Jonathan McCullough, Honorable Mayor of the City of Statesboro, Georgia, do hereby proclaim May the 4th, 2021 as Firefighters Day in the City of Statesboro, and therefore extend appreciation to the members of the Statesboro Fire Department for their dedicated work and efforts to protect life and property within our community, and encourage all citizens to recognize not only our local firefighters, but those worldwide year-round for their courage, selfless service, and sacrifice. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Statesboro on this 4th day of May, 2021. Yes, sir. You on crack still? Chief looked after that.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Mike, you want to come up and pretend?
Oh, no, we do.
All right. We'll move down to agenda item 3B. It's not listed on your program, as we did our best to try to hide it from somebody. But with that being said, we do want to do another proclamation. This proclamation is in recognition of Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and the proclamation reads as follows. For the 52nd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, May the 2nd through May the 8th, 2021, whereas the office of city clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of city clerk is among the oldest of public servants, and whereas the office of city clerk provides a professional link between the citizens the local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas city clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the city clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas city clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the city clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of city clerk. Now therefore, I, Jonathan McCollum, Mayor of the City of Statesboro, do recognize the week of May 2nd through May the 8th, 2021 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our city clerk, Leah Harding, and to all city clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Dated this 4th day of May, 2021.
Thank you all so much.
It's kind of hard hiding things from the people that put it together, right? There you go.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Now we're gonna pass this off to Mr. Kenny because we're gonna have to put some stuff to it. There you go. All right.
I appreciate all.
Yeah, they didn't know how to, they didn't know how to order the plaque.
And Phil, you spot on. As you know.
Hey, Leah normally
Yeah,
does.
Leah helps.
That's the next word.
Yeah, how do you do this without Leah knowing, right? All right. With that being said, we'll move down to agenda item 4, public comments. Leah, are there any public comments at this time?
No, Mayor.
Okay, we'll move down to agenda item 5, which is consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes approval of minutes for our work session, council minutes, and executive session for April the 20th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let us show that agenda item 5 has passed. We'll move down to agenda item 6, which is a public hearing consideration of a motion to approve. Item 6 has 2 parts, A and B. A reads as application RZ 21-03-05. Stockyard Housing LLP requests a zoning map amendment from the R15 zoning district to the R4 zoning district on 4.5 acres of property in order to redevelop and construct a multi-tenant senior housing development on Stockyard and Donnie Simmons Road. Item B reads as follows: application 521-03-06. Stockyard Housing LLP requests a variance from Article 16, Section 1600 of the Statesboro zoning ordinance regarding off-street parking for multiple family use buildings for a proposed senior housing development at Stockyard and Donnie Simmons Road. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Kathy, if you would give us some insight on this.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and members of the City Council. Stockyard Housing LLP requests a zoning map amendment from the R15 Single Family Residential Zoning District to the R4 High Density Residential Zoning District in order to construct a senior housing development on the site. The applicant is also requesting a variance from Article 16, Section 1600 of the Statesboro zoning ordinance to reduce the required parking on the site. The current site is being utilized as a mixed commercial property serving as the location for the local food bank, the outreach program for the Bullock County Parks and Recreation Department, and a small cafe with a number of buildings currently unoccupied. The site would be converted to a senior housing development with a mixture of 2- and 1-bedroom units for a total of 51 units. The zoning map amendment would allow for the general development of the site, increasing the allowed density of units to 12 per developable acre. The applicant also requests a variance from Section 1600 of the Statesboro zoning ordinance in order to allow for the necessary parking on the location. as the parking ordinance requires multiple family developments to provide one parking space per bedroom and one additional space for every 10 units. The total requirement for parking would be 82 spaces. Based on prior developments of a similar type, it is anticipated that this type of development would only require a total of 68 parking spaces, or 1.33 spaces per unit, to successfully accommodate all residents and guests. So you can see on your screen, outlined in red, the parcel at the corner of Donnie Simmons Way and Starkyard Road. It's the old school site. The future land use map calls for this area to be an established residential neighborhood. The zoning map shows the R15 zone in the blue-green color. The subject property is in the photo on the left. The photo on the right shows the property to the west. The photo on the left here shows property to the northwest. And then the photo on the right shows property to the north. This shows the proposed development plan for the site. You can see that the 3 buildings in the middle, not the one that's outlined in gray, but the other 3 are buildings that will be converted. They're existing buildings, and they'll be converted into housing units. And then you have the newer, the sort of 8-plex type buildings around on Starkyard Road, and then there's one over in the corner on Donnie Simmons Way. Staff recommends approval of RZ 21-0305 and also V 21-0306. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of the zoning map amendment and variance does not grant the right to develop on the site without approval. All construction must be approved by the city. 2, the site must be developed to accommodate senior housing and cannot be developed for another use without explicit approval from the city council. At the special call meeting of the Planning Commission on April 15, 2021, the commission voted to approve the zoning map amendment and variance with staff conditions by a 4-0 vote. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ben. All right, is there anyone who wants to speak for the request? Anyone here to speak against the request? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let us know that the hearing is now closed. We'll open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council?
And I'm going to direct this question to Councilwoman Chambers, excuse me. Can you shrink that picture or give the full picture? I mean, that puts all the traffic from this development onto Donnie Simmons Way. What did you anticipate that being? I mean, that's a lot, 51 cars, average of 6 to 8 trips. So you're talking, an additional 500 or 500 car trips on Donnie Simmons a day. So do you anticipate that being a challenge? I mean, I see that that's how, it's pretty limited how you can move stuff around, but I just wanted to, you know that area better than me.
I
so.
do. I know exactly where you're referring to, and at this present time, it may be a small challenge, but I think the challenge is worth it because we're providing housing for the seniors.
Sure.
So although it may be a small challenge, I still think it's worth, putting housing over there because the housing market for seniors and housing market in Statesboro, period, that's a bigger challenge. To answer your question, yes, it may be a small challenge, but I still think it's worth putting the housing units.
There's shared access there at the bottom, isn't there? That's intended to be a second egress and ingress.
Yeah, but at some point that'll be a development, so it'll be interesting to see, and folks that live in those top 2 buildings won't be coming through that direction necessarily. They'll be coming up that way.
Any further discussion?
So, right, the anticipation, Mr. Penny, is that they'll develop that other portion of the property later, yes?
Yes.
Yeah,
So it belongs to the same developer?
Yes,
This is all part of the
same
same?
developer will have the whole thing.
Okay.
But that's good, that's a good pointing that out. That was all I had?
So it's a concern, but the city recommends that we go ahead with it, right? Manageable? Staff recommends, I mean.
Yes, that's correct.
I agree with Ms. Shavers. I mean, it's something we really need, so hopefully we can work around it. But yeah, we need to stay aware and not make it a burden on folks trying to get in and out. The new people moving in, all the folks already over there.
Well, that was my point is, yeah, you got an existing neighborhood and now you're gonna add that traffic. And so it's always, you know, what is the new stuff going to do to the people that are already there, that have established their houses, they've already invested in the area. So I believe it's gonna be a benefit for the city, don't get me wrong. I just wanted to see what you thought about the traffic impact. So that was all I had.
Well, thank you for asking.
Sure. Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Let's show that agenda item 6 is passed. We move down to agenda item 7, which is a public hearing and first reading of ordinance 2021-02, an ordinance amending the Statesboro Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, Section 6-5, and 6-7E, extending eligibility for distance waivers to pubs and low-volume licensees. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Kane, if you'll give us some insight on this.
Of course. Mayor, Council, this agenda item was brought up at the last work session back on April 20th. What the discussion centers around is currently we do allow for proximity waivers to be issued for restaurants. And those are for proximity from these certain businesses that are set out in section 6-7E. These are going to be that the licensee has to be at least 100 yards away from any church building, school building, educational building, school grounds, college building, or college campus. So currently, the way the permit application goes is when it's presented to council, it has consideration of the license application and the issuance of a distance waiver for a restaurant. So what we, this came up because of a constituent of Councilwoman Chavers having an issue with getting the low volume license for their establishment because of its proximity to a drug treatment center on in Simmons Plaza over there. So that they would need a permit in order to operate there, but yet they're not eligible for that distance waiver permit because those are only allowed for restaurants. And I want to go over what the difference between restaurants, pubs, and bars is. So a bar is an establishment that derives less than 40% of its sales from the sale of prepared meals. Pubs operate the middle ground. They are between 40 and 70% of income comes from prepared meals. And restaurants are those establishments that more than 70% of their income comes from sale of prepared foods. Now, the pub classification did not exist until 2019. The distance waiver language was in 2016. So what happened is when those new classifications were put in 2019, previous business models business models that previously could have gotten a distance waiver permit were no longer eligible for it because they were no longer classified as restaurants in our code of ordinances, whereas these same ones were before. And also, when that 2019 change occurred is also when the low volume was put in as a type of license. And what the low volume is establishments that receive an average of less than $1,000 monthly of alcohol deliveries from the distributor. So basically the pubs and low volumes are new license classifications, but yet the distance permit waiver is from a time before either of those existed. So what's brought before y'all today is that the distance waivers permits be allowed to be issued to pubs and low volume establishments as well as restaurants. And like I said, The actual issue of the permit is going to be the same line item on the agenda, but the vote on it is separate from the vote for the granting of the license. The permit has to be approved first by an action of mayor and council before the license application can be considered. And the reason I'm saying that is just to let y'all know this is not something that we are just saying, okay, they are going to be allowed here. We're just saying that y'all would have the discretion to look at all the facts and determine if it is appropriate to be issued that permit waiver and therefore a license to sell alcohol. And I know this is can be a confusing issue, and I'll be glad to answer any questions from y'all might have.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. All right, is there anyone here to speak for the request?
On this issue, I do not represent any organization that I might be affiliated with. But as a person who's interested in the revitalization and development of downtown Statesboro, given all the Georgia Southern Campus buildings that are in downtown Statesboro, and there may yet be more, I would recommend that you pass this. Otherwise, you foreclose on opportunities of development in the city, especially in downtown. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, anyone else speaking, here to speak for? All right, is there anyone here to speak against the request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let it be known that the hearing is now closed and is now open for council discussion. All right, seeing that there's no discussion, is there a motion to vote to approve to move forward?
I'm sorry, John, you went too quick for me there. I do have a couple questions, please. So if we pass this, it'll still be like the variance process where if somebody owns a new business or has an existing business and wants to have the waiver so they can serve alcohol, they'll have to post a sign so people around them will know that's what they've requested for a certain number of days before it comes to us or not?
No, this is not a planning commission issue or a rezone or anything like that. There wouldn't be any public posting of the process. It would just solely be brought before mayor and council after investigation by city staff. And city staff would recommend whether to even bring it forward if the establishment would be eligible.
How much city staff would be involved in the application process? It would be here from fire and police like we do on some things?
Y'all can request anyone. All the parties represented on those approval sheets are present at every council meeting, so any questions that need to be asked could be directed at the appropriate party.
Yeah. But it might be helpful for them to have an opportunity to know in advance so they come prepared with whether there's been any problems in the area, that sort of thing.
Right.
We can follow the same process, licensing process, so that's made available too.
Well, I think we're all pro-development and make things better downtown and make more options available, but then you want to move slowly when you're talking about new things, particularly new things with alcohol. So I'm just trying to understand. And tell me again the difference in low volume is that they buy less than $1,000 worth of alcohol in a month.
On an annual basis, an average of less than 1,000, yes, per month.
If I may, Sherry, that if you could think of like a hair salon that serves a glass of wine at a spa day or something like that. That's gonna be that kind of a business. So it's just ancillary to their business.
And so the way we have it written now, those businesses would have the opportunity to apply for the waiver, even if they were
Correct.
done 1,000, however many yards of,
Yep.
one of the protected businesses.
That's correct.
So restaurants already can, and now we're talking about expanding it so that folks who serve more alcohol but still serve food, like the pub category.
Yes, but I do want to be clear on that. Pubs were previously able to get, the establishments that are now classified as pubs, before 2019 were eligible for this permit because they were considered restaurants. So the pub classification was carved out of restaurants. So what happened is, an unintended consequence of that reclassification was that these businesses that previously could have applied now cannot. So it's not really an expansion, it's just getting back to what was allowed before 2019, but then expanding only as far as the low volume establishments are concerned.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Okay.
Does this include distance waivers for churches?
The forbidden businesses are all listed in 6.7 E1, and churches are part of that as well.
Okay.
So any sort of prohibitive proximity, regardless of what it is, would be eligible for the permit. Because when it comes to on-premises consumption under Georgia law, local governments have full ability to regulate that. When it comes to package sales, there are state proximity requirements, but those simply don't exist for on-premises consumption, for buy-to-drink consumption.
Thank you.
And of course, the type of what it would be close to would obviously be a major consideration of mayor and council before issuing the permit waiver.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Any further questions?
Councilwoman Barr, you good?
I have the information, yeah, thank you.
Okay. To me, this feels like it's good for both sides. I mean, if you're a church or a concerned organization, this still comes before council. It's in the agenda. It's still published. It's still a public hearing. They don't post a sign necessarily, but it's still a pub. So if somebody's trying to put a pub next to First Baptist Church, I would imagine some folks from First Baptist Church might come and object to that, and that as would be their right. That being said, there's also situations where, you know, a building is 99 feet from, and there's no, and so that gives those business owners the flexibility to come before us and argue their case, and so we can make, smart decisions moving forward. So, I mean, I think this gives the opportunity for both the businesses to approach us, as well as the folks who may be affected by those businesses. So, good policy either way.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right. Is there a motion to approve to move forward for second reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item A, which is consideration of motion to set the date for a public hearing for the proposed City of Statesboro fiscal year 2022 budget for May 18, 2021, during the regular scheduled council meeting. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, excuse me, we are required by law to have a public hearing on our budget, and so we recommend to you that you set the date for the public hearing for the budget for the next meeting, which will be May the 18th.
Okay, thank you. All right, any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, move down to agenda item 9, which is consideration of a motion to award a contract to SAC Construction LLC in the amount of $788,770 to rehabilitate sanitary sewer mains. This project is funded as part of the 2021 CIP budget item WWD 14-L with funds from the 2013 SLOSS. Mr. Penny, if you'll give us some insight.
Mayor, members of the council, one of the issues that we always deal with sewer mains is that over time, they will leak. And there's a thing called ionized infill and infiltration. And so when we have a lot of rain, our waste treatment plant gets overrun by all the groundwater that seeps in through the pipes. And so we can put liners into those pipes. And so what we're recommending to you is approval of this contract with SACS Construction, so that they can actually put liners in about 5,800 feet of sewer main. And that will help to minimize the amount of rainwater that goes through the plant. It also helps extend the life of our plant. The amount that they bid was $788,770, and that is a lot less than the estimate of $1.1 million. So we recommend you approve the issuance of the award of this contract to SACS Construction LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. All right, any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, move down to agenda item 10, which is consideration of motion to award a contract to Miscellaneous Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $975,150.90 for the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Infrastructure and Drainage Improvement Project. This project is funded from the CDBG funds and 2013 SPOS funds and utility enterprise funds. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, if you remember, sometime last year, we did a presentation to you about storm drainage, and our number one priority for storm drainage improvement was actually the Martin Luther King drainage basin. And so this project received a CDBG grant, and so we are recommending the award to McClendon Enterprises so that we can make those improvements to that, what is our number one priority in the drainage basin. So we recommend awarding the contract to McClendon Enterprises.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 11, other business from city council. Anything council would like to share?
I do. I have something that I want to share with you guys briefly. It has come to my attention that, back in September, we passed a non-discrimination ordinance. And it's come to my attention that a lot of individuals do not know the process of how to even file a complaint. So at this point, I would just like to put out some information so that individuals who feel as if they've been discriminated against know the actual process of how to file a complaint. So here we go. What you do is you go to the link www.statesborough.georgia.gov/boards-commissions. I'm going to say it one more time because I want this to be very clear. www.statesborough.gov/boards-commissions. You click on that link, you scroll down to the non-discrimination ordinance complaint form. It's a PDF form. So you click on that, you print it out. Once you print that form out and complete that form, you will then turn that form in. You can mail it in to the city of Statesboro, or you can bring it in personally to Leah. If you do not know how to complete that form, Leah is there to assist you with that form. So we here in Statesboro do not tolerate any form of discrimination, and if you feel that you've been discriminated against, this is the process that you need to go through to file a complaint.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have something.
John?
Just a short statement.
John? Sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
After much consideration, I have decided not to run for a fourth term as representative for District 4 on Statesboro City Council. It has been my privilege and honor to serve. And the mayor, I don't believe he understood what I meant this morning because he challenged me to a fight out in the park. when I told him, I am not running for mayor. Is that what you thought?
Oh, no.
Oh, wait, no, okay.
No.
Well, set your mind at ease if anyone's thinking that. No, I'm
Yeah, that's it.
proud and honored. Always have been.
John,
Still will be.
well, John, we're gonna miss you. And I can speak on my behalf, and I'll let council speak on their behalf. From day one, John has been a gentle soul. He welcomed me with open arms. Anytime I had any questions or needed just to have a conversation, John was always open to the conversation. We love to speak on some good old Statesboro High football. And all of the people that we knew in common here in the city of Statesboro. And what I told John when I first got here, my family have done business with your father, with the pharmacy for a very long time. And we just want to say thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for having such a gentle heart. That means so much, especially during this time period, to have someone in your presence that has the heart for people. and just wanting to do the right thing. You know, that's one thing that we're gonna definitely miss, but we appreciate it, and, you know that you always have a friend in me.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
This is not an immediate resignation, this is.
Oh,
just-
no.
I'll be back
next week, you know.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know the job goes through December, right?
I do, oh yes, I'm not leaving.
I'm just checking.
I'm just not running in the fall.
Yeah.
For D4 or mayor.
Okay.
I really thought you were telling me to a fight.
Oh, no. I hate to see you leave. That's really what it is. You know, I'm telling you, and I'll say this, and this is just a moment of transparency. Nobody knows what we go through up here. The amount of scrutiny, inside and outside, you know. And so to have someone that's pure of heart, that genuinely wants to do what's right for the people of the city, that's something that we need all of the time. And the one thing that I love about you, John, is that you're just honest. You're just honest, and that is something that too many of our politicians are just not. They're just not honest. And John, you have an honest spirit, you're an honest soul, and you know, you what you believe is what you believe, and that's rare. And so know that all the work that you've done over the years, the city is going to miss all of that. But more than that, we're going to miss you as a person.
That fills my heart.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, one thing, we went back quickly enough, I didn't get to say, and I did just want to thank Mr. Penny and Jason and Kathy and everybody in the city who has worked hard with the developers to bring this senior housing, to keep moving it along. Because it doesn't just, people don't just walk up and decide to do it. It takes a good bit of effort and preparation. So I want to salute and thank all of you for helping to make that happen. This is going to be good for a lot of people in Statesboro. Good for all
And-
Statesboro. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Sherry, I just want to be clear though, that they still have to go through like an approval process, yeah, so I mean, it's not coming yet, this is just the first stage, so.
Thank you.
But, fingers crossed.
Thank you for getting it to this stage.
If you know anybody in grant funding, pick up the phone and call them.
Okay. With that being said, any further discussion by council? I did overlook something. Mr. Penny, I want to give you the opportunity to give us some insight on the matter.
Well, Mayor, this morning what I was hoping was when we had the rezoning that I would actually have a chance to introduce to you Bill Gross, who is the developer for that senior housing. So Mr. Gross lives in Brunswick, Georgia, but I think it's a compliment to y'all that he felt comfortable enough that he did not need to be here based on the fact that we've communicated with him your support for the project. I do hope, and I text him, and he says, I want to meet the council. And he said, and I can come to the next meeting to meet the council. Because I just wanted, I did just want to share with the council that when Mr. Gross and one of his colleagues came to see us, this is not the site that they were looking at. The site that they were looking at was down in the southern part of the city, and it was not in our redevelopment area. And when we sat down with them, staff asked him if he would relocate his project to the site. And they immediately left the meeting and went to that location, and then the ball started rolling. And so we still do need to get through the grant process, but staff pulled it up and council has jumped on this because the application is due on May 21st. This gentleman, out of 14 applications for the tax credits for elderly housing, he's got 13 of them approved. So we're hoping he's gonna get 15 out of 15 approved with our project. And so if he can, hopefully he'll be here on the next meeting, so you have a chance to actually meet him. He's a great fellow.
Yeah, and I think it goes without saying that staff has been remarkable, not just with this project, but the entire housing initiative. I want to send a shout out to Kathy and her staff, Justin. You know, this has been something that housing is something that we've been wanting to address comprehensively. And I think that this kind of puts that book in on the entire picture that we're looking at. Because we've looked at public housing, now we're looking at senior housing, we're looking at housing stock across the city. And so with that being said, you know, we, Mr. Penny, you, the staff, we want to definitely extend our gratitude for all of the work that you guys have done. We know that it's not been easy, and I know that we can ask a lot, but you guys meet it with grace. So thank you on that, and thank you, Councilwoman Barr, for your kind words as well. All right. If there's not anything else, is there any further comments from the city manager?
The last thing I want to say, Mayor, sort of hesitantly, the Youth Connect applications, they're flowing in. And so today is the deadline. And then we'll start the process of getting our 20 young people that are going to work for the city and other entities for the next 5 weeks, beginning on June 7th. So we're excited about it.
Okay.
And so are some students.
Yeah, we're excited too. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 13 for public comments. Are there any public comments? All right, seeing that there is none, we'll move down to agenda item 14. Is there a need for executive session? Okay. All right.
It's all three items, Mayor.
So that all three items? All right. I'm scared. Consideration of a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, real estate, and/or potential litigation in accordance with OCGA 50-14-3B. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.